Hey foolish mortals, let's go ahead and get started with lesson 9.0, Introduction to Polynomials. Now, if you are doing this part of the lesson, I'm assuming that you've already completed task 1, which was writing the definitions for each of these vocabulary terms. And I also suggested that you could write down an example or either one of those. Now, even though I gave you a website, you were welcome to use any website or internet source that you could. For task number 2, you would then use those vocabulary terms to match the term and the definition. And now we are on task 3. So that's where you should be watching this video. And let's go ahead and talk about classifying polynomials. Polynomials can be classified by the number of terms. So what's a term? If we look back at your definitions, it should say that terms are parts of an expression that are being added or subtracted together. Okay, so you're looking for a plus or you're looking for a minus. Now remember that every number has a sign in front of it. If they don't give us a sign, then that sign is a positive sign. So this is positive 3x squared. Okay, we don't write that positive there because it's understood. Now when I'm looking at this one here though, I notice that 3x squared has nothing else being added or subtracted to it. So this polynomial here is just one term. It's just one piece of an expression. This is called a monomial. Now if I look at the next polynomial, I have 5x and I have negative 8, or 5x minus 8. So there are two pieces that are being combined by addition or subtraction. So two terms is called a binomial. Now the way that I think about binomial is I think about a bicycle. A bicycle has two wheels, so a binomial will have two parts. Then the next one is called a trinomial. When I think about a trinomial, I think about a tricycle. A tricycle has three wheels, so a trinomial must have three parts that are being combined together using addition and subtraction. So this one has three terms. So when we're naming a polynomial, we can name it by the number of terms: a monomial, a binomial, or a trinomial. Now, if it had 4 terms or 5 terms or 6 terms, they're going to call that a polynomial. Okay? It's just those first 3 that have a specific name with them. Now, once we have these polynomials, we get to notice that they can also be classified by their degree. So a degree is an exponent. It's the largest exponent in the polynomial expression. So we're going to be looking for the exponents, and we're going to be looking for the largest value. There could be multiple exponents, but we want the largest one. So let's look at this first polynomial here. This first polynomial is negative 24. Now this one does not have a variable, so it is assumed since there's no variable, it has a 0 degree. And a 0 degree is called a constant. We've talked about that word constant before. It just means that there's a value that has no variable with it. It's all by itself. It's isolated. That is a constant term. Okay? Then we have this next one. And the next one here is 2x minus 8. The highest exponent on this one, I'm going to zoom in on this. This x does have an exponent. They don't write it, but it's an understood 1. Okay, so this one here, 2x to the first power, is the first degree. And first degree, this is linear. So example, mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here. When we had mx plus b, x had a exponent of 1, so that one is linear. Okay. The next one that we're looking at is 3x squared minus 7. The piece that we're really paying attention to is that exponent. So on this one here, the largest exponent is 2. So this is a second degree polynomial. And a second degree polynomial is quadratic. Then when we get to our last one here, our last one is a third degree. 3 is the largest number in the exponent terms. Okay, so this one here is a third degree polynomial, and this one is cubic. Then they go on from there. If I had something with the fourth degree, it would be called quartic. If I had something with the fifth degree, it would be called quintic. But we go up to our third degree terms, so that's what we want to pay attention to for now. Now, let me give you an example of one where it's out of order. Okay, so if I had, let's say, 4x plus 7x squared minus 8, and then plus 3x to the third. What I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be looking at all the exponents. So this one has an exponent of 1. This one has an exponent of 2. This one has an exponent of 3. So the degree of this one would be 3, because it's the number of the highest exponent. Okay. All right, so let's go down here. I've got a couple examples. I'm going to do 3 of them, and I'm going to leave the rest of them for you. So the first one, I want to write this in standard form. Standard form, again, if you look back at your definitions, it's listed with the term that has the highest exponent first. So I've got 3 terms. I have 9x squared. That has x to the second power. I have negative 9x squared. Then I have negative 7x, which has x to the first power. And then I have a constant term, positive 3. So if I want to write this in standard form, I'm going to pick the one with the highest exponent first. So that's negative 9x squared. Then the one with the next highest exponent, which is negative 7x. And then the constant term goes last, positive 3. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is write them in standard form. That's from the largest exponent to the smallest exponent. Squared, 1, and then no exponent. So what's the degree on this one? The degree on this one is 2. The highest exponent is 2. Then the number of terms, how many pieces are being added or subtracted together? It's 3. Now looking at the degree, a degree of 2, going right back up here, if it's a degree of 2, it is quadratic. Because it's 3 terms, it's a trinomial. So this one here is a quadratic trinomial. All right, let's go on to another example. Now on this one, I have negative 4. Well, there's no other variables or terms or anything that I have to move around. So standard form for this one is just negative 4. The degree on this one, since it does not have an x, like it would have x to the 0 power, but they don't write that. So then our degree is 0. The number of terms, it only has one piece in this polynomial, so there's one term. Now, it is negative 4. So with a degree of 0, it's constant. And with one term, it's a monomial. So for this one here, it is a constant monomial. Okay, let's look at another example. On this next example, I have 13 minus 5x. Well, there are only 2 terms on this one. The largest exponent is 1, so my degree is 1. If I want to write this in standard form, put the one with the highest exponent first. So there's negative 5x to the first plus 13. Okay. Since the exponent on this one is 1, let's go right back up here. If it has a degree of 1, it is linear. And it has 2 terms being added or subtracted together, so it's binomial. So this one here is linear binomial. Means it would draw a line graph and it has 2 terms being added or subtracted together. Okay, Let me pick one more here and let me do example number 6. All right, so if I want to do example 6 here, first off, I notice that there are 3 terms being added or subtracted together. And notice that the highest exponent is 2, so the degree is 2. When I write it in standard form, I'm going to pick the one with the largest exponent first, and that is positive x squared. Then I have positive 3x. And then I have positive 1. Okay. So this one here has 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. And because it's x squared, it's quadratic. So this one here is a quadratic trinomial. All right, so the rest of these examples I'm going to leave here for you to complete. Give it your best shot. And then your last and final task here is to make sure that you upload this completed document to Canvas. It's due today by 10 p.m. And then keep this in your notebook.